Hello, friends. Good morning. Good morning. We will be starting in just a few minutes here. We just want to give everyone a little bit of time to join. So we're 11 on the dot here. So give it another minute or two, and then we'll jump in. We won't have, let's say, a 5-minute buffer, but more so around a minute or two. So get cozy, get your comfies and the drink, and Alex here will wow us with his infinite knowledge around the Microsoft Partner Network and its upcoming changes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And as we wait for the people that are used to us talking and doing these things, they may have noticed that I have a headset on today, and it is on purpose. I hate these things. I feel like I'm talking, in an aquarium, but I know that the sound for you guys is a lot better. And since this is incredibly important information, I don't want you guys to suffer through the aquarium voice or like the PA system in an 80s subway in Chicago. It really wants you to be able to understand all of this. And that's why, that's why I'm going through this, even though, again, it's very uncomfortable.
We appreciate you falling on the sword for us here, Alex. Awesome. Good, good. See a lot of familiar faces. So hello to everyone I know, and hello to all the new friends who are joining as well. They're really looking forward to getting to work with all of you. So I think we did our 2 or 3 minutes here. I think without making all of our punctual friends here wait too long, maybe we can
Yep.
start right in.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So as we see on the screen, we are looking at the silver partner today. So if you had attended our previous session in which we covered some of the MPN changes, that was a preamble to this, and now we're diving into a little bit more detail. For those of you who have currently the silver competency or any aspirations to attain one in the next couple weeks here.
Couple of months.
Couple of months is true. You can fold it over till next year. So I am James, the guy at the bottom of the screen here. So I work on the productivity and collaboration side of our service offering. And Alex Laflamme, this fine gentleman here with the fancy headset, is our Microsoft Partner Program Incentives Manager. So this is the gentleman who helped us to map our journey and has helped countless partners map theirs as well through the Microsoft sphere here. So these are who you're stuck with for the next hour or so here.
We apologize. This will be recorded. This is being recorded. So the one thing that I want to mention is that if you are planning on having your partner center open at the same time and follow along, it's a great idea, but not for today. Today, it would be better to just follow along, think of questions, ask questions. James is going to be there to monitor the chat and ask those live. But then when the recording becomes available, do watch it again and have your partner center open so that you can match the screens, because I'm putting a lot of screenshots from the partner center showing you exactly where to look to see about your competency level and what you need to do. And it's going to be a lot easier when you can pause the video and let the partner center load, because as probably 100% of the people here know, the partner center is not the fastest portal ever, so it would be almost impossible to kind of follow along in the time allotted. We're also, because this is recorded and because we feel that that there's not a lot of people sending out this message, and this is very important information for partners, like James said, that are either silver or aspiring to be silver. We are going to make this available, and if you want to share this with other MSPs that may not be with Sherweb, it will be of value to them. But with that in mind, we're going to have a little part, describing who is Sherweb. So, if they've kind of accidentally stumbled upon this video on their YouTube feed or whatnot, they might have, an idea of who we are and what we're doing. After that, we're going to briefly go over the MPN becomes MCP recap. As James said, it's really just watch our old webinar that's on the Knowledge Network. Then we'll go very, very deep into what the Silver membership is, what the incentives are, specific competencies that you should look at before October. And then we're going to give you some important dates and two examples, two typical partner examples, so that you can really bring it home and you can understand, how this would affect someone with a specific anniversary date. And then, of course, as always, there's going to be a Q&A at the end. But as always, if you want to ask questions beforehand, don't hesitate. Put those questions in the chat. James has carte blanche to interrupt me and ask those questions whenever he wants, especially so I can get a drink of water.
On that note, drink up, my friend. We do have our very first question. So the standard housekeeping. So yes, the deck will be available to you, as will the video recording. Again, once again, rather, on our Knowledge Network. Also available on YouTube if you happen to subscribe.
Okay, so who is Sherweb? I'm going to start first, but I'll let you say something too, James.
Good.
So whenever I talk about Sherweb to people that don't know about Sherweb, I try to use the analogy of the supermarket. So you could go to a carrot farmer, you could go to a corn farmer, you could go to a cattle farm and buy those specific products directly, from the producer, and do all the logistics and all of that. Or you can go to the supermarket and get all your vegetables, meats, cereals, and what you want, all from the same place, with certain standards. You can know that you're getting something that has quality, that's not poison, and with a recourse to be able to talk to that supermarket if there were ever any problems. So Sherweb is a bit of a cloud marketplace. We have a lot of cloud solutions in our portfolio, so you can use us as your single point of contact, as your business partner, to be able to have all of these products under the same roof, single invoice, which is very important nowadays, and all of the support that you would ever require from those products. Do you want to do the second category?
Well, I was going to kind of just tag on to the marketplace notion there. So I would say it is like a marketplace, absolutely, in that we offer so many different products. But I'd say it's almost like a built-in dietitian being there as well. So it's not just what their products are, but how to apply them, how you can expand your offering as well. So again, we pride ourselves on having so many products and knowing which way we can help guide you in, and which way the winds are blowing in the market even. So again, as much as we offer the products, and we definitely are proud to be aligned with all these great vendors, do know we are much more than just a license pusher, so to speak. But we really are business partners, as Alex said perfectly.
Yep, and in today's climate, with all the pressures for productivity, personnel, and all of that, if you need to offload certain services, certain aspects of your business, we can help as well with white label help desk, professional services, and we offer a lot of other hosted solutions, that come, as a service. So desktop as a service, backup as a service, managed voice, where we do the management on our end. So if you are looking to create new revenue streams without much heavy lifting on your end, do check us out. We can probably help in a very big way. Without further ado, so the MPN becomes the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program. This was announced by Microsoft on March 14th. And then since then, some information has trickled in. We decided to do a webinar on everything that was known at the end of May. It is available on our Knowledge Network and on our YouTube channel. It's getting a lot of views, so it does seem that it is getting a lot of traction. So please do check it out if you haven't yet, so that you can get the bird's eye view of all the changes. But for today, we are really talking about Silver membership and the incentives related to those. So the first thing is, what is a Silver membership? So in a nutshell, it is something that you have to meet certain requirements, and you have to earn at least one what's called Silver competency. And then you will be invited to purchase the Silver membership, which has an annual cost of $16.70 US, $18.50 Canadian, which will then give you a bunch of benefits. It's going to be access to incentives, the cashback programs, and a lot of cloud and on-prem licensing. Specifically, when you purchase the Silver membership, you get a set of what's called core benefits. So no matter which competency you earned that got you to purchase the Silver membership, you will get all of these delivered to you. So the main ones I kind of put on the screen here. So over on the business application side, 15 customer engagement to use internally. That's actually pretty amazing. On the Microsoft software side, you get $100 a month of monthly Azure credit and 5 visual Studio Enterprise subscriptions. And then, of course, on the Modern Workplace, the main thing is the 25 M365 E3s that you get to use. So for most Silver partners, getting just the core benefits should cover a lot of their licensing needs, if not all of them. If you are a 3-4 people shop, then just the core benefits should be great. But for a lot of Silver partners, just the 25, covers most of their needs, but not fully. So part of the reason we want to have this conversation today is to let you know how you can increase those benefits, how you can get even more licenses should you need them right now, or should you plan to need them before October of next year. So you may be thinking about growth, hiring some people, merging with another company, buying a company, and anticipating the need for new licenses next year. So this is part of the reason that we're having this today. One of the other benefits, like we mentioned, is the CSP indirect reseller incentives. Obviously, lots of information here. Why I'm saying that you may want to pause this whenever you look at it again. But this slide is really just to show you that you get to have all of these benefits, as well as the Microsoft Commerce Incentive benefits, which are for all of your licensing that's on NCE for M365 and Dynamics 365, whereas the CSP indirect reseller was for the legacy type licenses. You get access to the customer ads on NC, so you get an extra 10% for any new customer that you bring on for Microsoft on this platform. Same concept for Dynamics 365. You get the core benefits, the accelerators, and the customer ad as well. So there's a whole bunch of incentive programs that you get once you purchase the Silver membership and meet the criteria. Why I say that there's a criteria, meet the criteria, is because it's not just getting the active Silver membership. For CSP and direct resell, you must also have a $25,000 trailing 12-month revenue. So that means that you must have at least $2,300, $2,400 a month of Microsoft revenue minimum to be able to get into this program. You'll still be able to purchase the membership, the Silver membership, and get the free licenses. But for the CSP and direct resell incentive program, there's that added criteria, which will then give you about 4% minimum cash back benefits. But on average, it's more like 9% because of the type of licenses that the partners promote and that they resell. It's more of a 9% average on CSP and direct reseller. And as you can see for MCI, it's even better. So it's 5% minimum, and it's more like 15% on average with all of the customer ad accelerators. So very, very lucrative. Most partners, whenever they invest in the Silver membership, they more than break even. It ends up being tens of thousands of dollars if you count the licensing costs and the incentives put together. So now specifically on competencies. So we keep going down the rabbit hole. So for competencies, as we mentioned, there's 9 different competencies that you can get that qualify for the incentives program. But for CSP partners, and especially Sherweb partners, there's 3 main competencies that we get to earn and that we get to attain. And especially with the short timeline between now and October, these are probably the only ones that you have a chance of obtaining if you haven't already. So the first one, small mid-market cloud solutions competency, the O365 service option. This is a screenshot from the Partner Center on how to reach that screen. When we get to it, we see that at the silver level, there is only one criterion. There is no exam component. So this competency tends to be hit by partners before they even know that there is such a thing as competencies, because the only criterion is to add 4 new Office 365 customers within the previous 12 months. They have to be brand new to Microsoft, so a transfer will not count. But a single tenant with a single license of Business Basic, assigned to a single user will count. The only thing that you have to watch out for is that there is a delay of 4 weeks between the time you add that customer and the time that it will reflect in the partner center. So if for some reason you don't have this competency and you want to reach this competency before October, your last chance would be by the end of August to add that new customer, so that by the end of September, you earn that competency. It's reflected in the portal. So adding a customer on September 28th will not earn you this competency. Why would you want this competency? Because on top of the core benefits, you get incremental benefits based on that competency. And in this case, the main thing that you would get from Smart Mid-Market Cloud Solutions is 10 Business Premium with 10 Business Voice. For a lot of partners, whenever they find out about this competency and those extra benefits, they go, oh my God, I've been paying for, Business Voice or, Teams Phone Standard or all of these things, or I was just about to renew my telecom contract. So it is great savings to have this so that you can fully dive into like the full Microsoft, telecom ecosphere without cost to yourself. So even if you don't want to use this as your main, telecom option for your own needs, having that as a persistent sandbox environment so that you can showcase this to customers is actually quite an asset, and it does result in a lot more sales than just kind of talking about it.
And a fun fact, if I may
Yes.
interject, just being one of the voice guys here at Sherweb, we did see a fair amount of stability when we with partners who are transacting using Business Voice or Teams Phone with Calling Plan these days. So we did see a 96% customer retention rate for orgs who did have any type of calling SKU. So essentially, a phone system is not something you want to shift every year, right? It's not entirely comfortable for everyone. So when you do have these on here, do expect that stickiness. A
Mm-hmm.
term I haven't had a chance to say in a couple of years, but that stickiness will absolutely be present, and you will see your customers. And like Alex said, uh, with making calls, transferring calls, this type of thing, when you go to do demos and you go to speak to your customers about it, it goes such a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And then there too, as we said earlier on, we are business partners. If you just want to chat about it, we do have a guide coming out as well to help you get some of that set up. I'll stop commandeering the webinar here and thinking about voice, but do know it is a great option and provides a great value.
No, I let you finish because it's absolutely important and it's true. And that stickiness, partners are always looking for that ways to kind of anchor their customers and not have them looking for a better solution elsewhere. And as soon as you add that second telecom on top of the email, you're making it 10 times harder for them to leave. Not that they would want to leave, but it's a lot easier to keep them. The second competency that we want to look at today, and this one is not one that you would hit without even knowing that competencies exist. There are some actions that you have to take, is the cloud productivity competency. And in this case, it is the managed service partner option that you want to click on. After you get there, you'll see that you will have a total usage with a number. So in my partner center, it's one because I only have one customer, it's me. And if that amount reaches above 2,000 units, you will meet the sales thresholds. How do those units work? It's about your current customers using existing Microsoft workloads. So a user could be sending an email, that's one unit. Could be going and saving a document on OneDrive, that's another unit. Could go and send a message on Teams, that's another unit. So for that one user, you would get 3 points, 3 entitlements. So you add all of the points that you get from all of the users, from all of your customers over the course of 12 months, and you get that sum, those units. So for a lot of partners, when you look at it like, wow, 2,000, that's a lot. You dive into your partner center and look at this count. I've seen just this week a partner that had over 20,000 units on there. So they were like 6 times over the gold level for this competency. But even if you meet, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in terms of getting those numbers up and getting that usage rate, it's all about the user adoption. So
Mm-hmm.
leveraging tools, let's say like a QuickHelp, for example. So one of the learning platforms that we offer, just getting users familiar with what these like what's a SharePoint and what can it do? How can I access? How it's secure and how efficient it is? Just often letting them know is half the battle.
Yeah, this
So
is true.
that's
And and
on
even
that.
then, like with the short timeline that we have, you would want to see this number to be at the very least over 1,000 right now, preferably over 2,000, but at least fairly close, knowing that each month you'll get those extra units, kind of adding to that total. So if you reach 2,000 units, you will meet the sales threshold, but there is a second component to this competency. It is an exam. It is the MS 100. And the MS 100 is not the easiest exam from Microsoft, but it's definitely in the easiest. The M365 fundamentals, the MS 900, would definitely win the title of easiest exam from Microsoft. But again, this one you do not need to be, the guru with like 20 years experience to pass it. If you've been dealing with Microsoft 365 for the past few years, you may want to just do the Microsoft Learn portion and see if you're comfortable with it to be able to pass. So If you have that one person in your company that passes the MS 100, you will earn that competency. And if you're already a silver partner, there's no extra fee, when you earn that competency to unlock these extra benefits. So these extra benefits are here on the screen. And the main one that I want to point out is the extra 25 M365 E3s. So pretty much doubling the amount of M265 E3s that you would get. Because if you remember, you have the 25 from the core package just by being a silver partner. But if you earn this silver competency on top of it, it will stack up. So you'll have 50 M365 E3s available internally. So that can really help if, again, you are struggling with the internal use licenses, with the type of staff that you have, or that you're planning, for the next 18 months to grow and add more users on there. And then finally, we have the cloud platform competency, saving the best for last. So this is the screenshot from the partner center. So you go to cloud platform, and then when you drill down, there's 4 different options. The one we care about is the Azure consumption option. And when you get there, you'll see that the sales threshold for this competency is $15,000 US over the last 12 months. So it's a trailing 12-month revenue. So if you have a Azure deployment that's at least about $1,200-$1,300, you would reach over $15,000 in the course of a year. But of course, with today and October being the last date, you will have to see if in the next 3 to 4 months you have enough revenue to reach that $15,000 threshold if you haven't yet, or if it's something that is kind of out of scope for right now. But if it is possible for you to reach the $15,000 in sales threshold, I cannot recommend it more. This is the one that's going to have the most impact on the benefits that you get from Microsoft. There is a second component to this competency. You have a choice of 4 exams, but the only exam that you should really look into right now is the one for the administrator role. It is the AZ-104, and the reason we are recommending this one, as some of you that are here that we've already had this conversation, is that this becomes a prerequisite for the new program that's coming out in October. So it's not only maximizing the current program, but it is kind of getting a lot of work done already for the new program next year, so that you would have a lot less to do at that point. So getting at least one person passing the AZ-104, if you have any ambition for Azure, either for this year to maximize or for next year to reach the Solutions Partner Infrastructure designation, it is something that you're going to want to look into. This competency, when you earn it, you immediately get an extra $6,000 a year of Azure bulk credit. So that's something that you can use internally. And some project licensing, and an additional 5 Visual Studio Enterprise subscriptions. So those are always very appreciated by our Azure partners, having more Visual Studio licenses, because those can add up pretty quickly when you have to buy them yourself. And this is the only competency that will allow you to get into the Azure Breath Motion Incentive, which is the cashback program for Azure consumption. So if you have Azure deployments under you and you've been looking at your incentives, under either MCI or CSP and direct reseller, you would have never seen anything about your Azure deployments. But once you earn the cloud platform competency at the silver minimum, or even at the gold level, you will start to get 4% back on the core incentives, and there's even a 10% back on the Azure reservation incentives. The only thing to watch out for with Azure reservations is that it's only on the Azure consumed revenue of the reservation and not on the other components. Those would still fall under the pay-as-you-go, so those would still be at 4%. But it's a lot more than nothing. And when it comes to Azure, the margins are so slim when it comes, to the competition. Having that extra 4% edge just for a regular Azure deployment is probably going to be enough to let you win a lot of deals over the competition. And anyone that wants to get into this program after October will no longer be able to just have silver in cloud platform. They'll have to go through the motions and through the requirements to have the infrastructure solution designation to be able to get that same 4%. So it's pretty much, you can either have a You can either wear sunglasses or have a scuba diver gear to get this. It's a lot easier to get the sunglasses than to get the whole scuba diving gear on it. So we really recommend that you try to, if it is attainable for you. If it's not, don't create a $15,000 Azure deployment for yourself just to get this competency. But if it is something that's within your sights, I cannot recommend it anymore. And then we get to the part, I have no idea how much time has been going on, but hopefully.
We're 25 minutes in, you're flying right through. So
beautiful. So now important dates and a couple of examples to hopefully get this to all come together for you guys. So the first thing is the announcements that we had from Microsoft about the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program. So September 30th is the last date to renew legacy competencies under the old program. And then after that, there's going to be a snapshot that's going to be taken of your partner center, what you've earned, like in your benefits section of cloud licensing and on-prem licensing, the benefits that you have available. Those are going to be the ones kind of locked in that you can renew. You will not be able to get any more of the legacy type incentives after September. Once October comes around, the whole solutions partner designations becomes live, and then the new badges are available. So if right away you have earned a solutions designation, you would be able to put that on your website in letters and swag if you want as well. And then on your anniversary date that happens after October 3rd, 2022, you will be in one of two situations. Either you have earned a solutions partner designation already, and you can choose to get the updated benefits because there's a whole new set of benefits that comes with the new partner program, or you get to choose to keep the legacy benefits that you had already earned and pay that same fee. If you haven't earned a solutions partner designation, you will be able to just renew just like before, just as if nothing had happened, with the same benefits that you were getting before and the same fee that you had to pay before. A reminder on December, at the end of December 2022, the legacy incentives, so not the legacy benefits, but the legacy incentives that were on the legacy platform, the CSP and direct reseller program, are going to end. I mean, of course, this is subject to change, subject to extension. This was already extended by Microsoft, so it stands to reason that it could change again. But it's a good reminder to know that right now, end of December, that's where the legacy incentives would go away. And then in October 2023, if it is, the solutions partner designation is required to qualify for incentives. So if you haven't earned a solution designation and you're still just on a grandfather clause at that point, you will lose the cashbacks from Microsoft, but you will still be able to keep your benefits, your free licenses that you were getting until your next anniversary date. So again, it's going to make more sense with the couple examples that we have right now. So here is one. Just move this here. There we go. So this is an example of a silver partner who takes no action, like probably a non-Sherweb partner who's not getting this information, who has no idea of all the tsunami that's about to come by. And they have an April renewal date. So in April 22, they renewed their silver membership just like normal. Everything was great. On October of this year, their badges are no longer valid. So they're no longer allowed to say, hey, we are a Microsoft Silver partner. That doesn't mean anything anymore. But they get to keep their incentives and their benefits just like before. So they might not even know that this is happening at that point. In April 2023, so a year later, which comes after the October date, they will be allowed to renew under their silver membership with the same fee that they were paying before and keep all the legacy benefits that they were having. So they'll still be able to have the 25 M365 E3s, the $100 a month, and so forth and so on. But then by October 2023, if they haven't earned a partner solutions designation by then, they no longer get cashback. So that's probably the first time that they're going to notice, as a non-Sherweb partner, not getting this information, that there's a change happening at Microsoft. As we all know, that's a year and a half after we all know that this is happening. So they're going to start to play catch up. And in this example, if by April 2024 they haven't earned a partner designation, which might be a bit difficult playing catch up and all that, then they no longer get their legacy benefits. So all their free licenses and all that no longer applies. The only option that they would have at that point is to purchase an action pack. So there's going to be significant financial impact for partners who don't take actions, who don't know that this is going on, both for their internal costs and in their profitability. Another example, and this is probably going to be a Sherweb partner who's well aware of the changes, so they're going to earn a solution designation. So same concept, April 22, they renew their silver membership, they get all of their benefits. October comes around, silver membership no longer applies, they're not alarmed, they saw this coming. In November, they earn a partner designation, probably modern work or infrastructure. That's where most CSP partners seem to be earning first. In April 2023, when their next renewal, the one that comes after October, comes about, they will get an option to choose to either go on the new program with the new benefits, which is the new types of licenses that they get. And a bit of a spoiler for those that don't know, the Modern Work Solution designation has a 200 M365 E5 package for partners. So that's pretty much the the Ferrari of Microsoft licensing to use internally. If they choose that new program, they will have to pay the new fee with it, and it's the equivalent of gold. So it's pretty much a $5,000 fee. Or they will get to keep the legacy benefits and pay the equivalent of the silver membership fee like they were used to. And that's what we think a lot of our silver partners may do. They'll earn the partner solution designation, but the benefits that they were getting under the old program were more than enough to cover their internal needs, and the fact that they get to have all the other benefits, will make more sense for them. In October 2023, because they have earned a solutions designation. Now, remember, in this case, let's say they chose to keep the legacy benefits. So still $1,600 a year, still the same M365 E3 licensing, but because they earned a solutions designation, they'll get to keep receiving the incentives under the new program. So that's one of the key points that I want to make here, that you're not going to be forced onto gold next year if you want to keep the incentives. You just have to earn one of the partner solutions designation through the different requirements from Microsoft on that. And we will have much more information on those as we get closer to those dates. And then in this example, finally in April 2024, so a full 2 years from now, then they will have to renew under the new program and pay the new fee and get the new benefits. So for a well-informed partner, you have 2 years to plan, and that first year you kind of get to get the best of both worlds, having the silver membership fee and silver benefits, plus the solutions designation, so that you get the incentives from Microsoft without skipping a beat. And that brings us to the Q&A. I survived. I didn't choke once.
You did really well as per usual, my friend. Yes, sir. Drink up. We do have a couple of questions in the chat. So I have answered a few, but I think there are some that are definitely worth saying a little bit more publicly. So the slide deck, once again, we had confirmed the slide deck as well as the recording will be available to all of you. I had one for you, Alex, and maybe I don't know if we'd be wise to scroll back through the slide deck here while we're live, but essentially it's where did I put this one here? How do you tell what our score is in units? So I think we had a slide that touched on it.
Yeah. If you go, I'm going to try not to go too fast, not to give anyone a seizure.
Webinar etiquette 101. But no, we want to answer this as to the best of our abilities here. So forgive us for jumping around.
So I presume we're talking about the entitlements, these 2,000 units from the cloud productivity competency. So in my example, if my first circle that says Microsoft Office 365 active usage 1, right next to it, there's a view details button. In your partner center, if you click on the view details, you will see on the trailing 12 months, well, it actually shows just the last month in that report, you will see your customers. So you'll see something like, Acme Corporation, EXO, which is Exchange Online, 15. Acme Corporation, Teams, 14. And then you'll have Cortana Corporation, SharePoint Online 10, and then you'll get a total number for that month. And in that, the active usage, the first circle on top of the screen here, you will see your total. So that's going to be your company's performance. That's your trailing 12-month total. If that number is above 2,000, when it gets to the silver component, you'll actually see a green check mark saying, yes, you have reached that total. And to be able to actually get credit for those customers for that usage, if you are set up correctly in our Cumulus portal with the right MPN ID, and I've been trying very hard for the last 2 years to make sure all of our partners are. It's done automatically because you are tagged as what's called a transacting partner of record, and you get credit for those. But if you have relationships with customers that are directly with Microsoft, or even like under an EA or whatnot, you can create customer associations so that you have the claiming partner of record, or that you are, the direct bill partner if you're a direct CSP as well. Those would count as well. So even though you wouldn't get incentives, cash back for those customers, their consumption would actually count for your competencies. But this may be, kind of a too short of a timeline to try to set those things up. The main point of this one is that, if you are, close to like 12, 1,300 units, and you know that just over the course of a month, you look at it again in July and you say, oh, wow, we're at like 1,600 now. Okay, so plus 300. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely be above 2,000 before October. So we should get, we should get James to do the MS 100. That's the reasoning that I want you to have, not to really like try to develop the monthly active usage, but to see if organically you would reach that sales threshold so that the exam might be worth it for you, so you can get those extra 25 licenses. I hope that makes sense.
Yep, for me at least, but I do get to bug you as much as I can. But yeah, so there are a couple of questions, I guess, touching on that. So for some more specific cases, if anybody did want to review this a little bit more in depth, I do see a couple of these questions here. Absolutely, yes, absolutely. We'd invite you all to reach out to your account managers. If you're not yet a Sherweb partner, do just kind of hover on the website for a little bit, and someone will surely reach out in not too long. But otherwise, though, do reach out. There is absolutely a contact us through the website there, and we'll get you set up with an account manager, again, with a business partner, who will then leverage resources like Alex in particular for all things MCP, or colleague Jose when we look at Dynamics, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and the other fun stuff we get to help you all with. So we got this one here. Are we reviewing the new requirements for next year? So not so much today, as you may have noticed. That is something we do have planned later on. So we do have 2 future renditions in mind. The first being in August normally, looking at the gold. So for all you gold partners, whether in attendance or watching this via recording at a later date, do know or do keep your eyes open for us, and hopefully we're not in your spam, but we will be doing a gold competency run through in August, and then a more broad designation overview in September. Like Microsoft, everything is subject to change, but these are the dates that we do have in mind, at least for the moment.
Exactly. And it's a lot because of a lot of the subject to change from Microsoft that we're waiting until pretty much the last possible moment to have one on the solutions partner, because we wouldn't want to have some information out there that someone watches, that's coming from June, and then in September there's been 2 tweaks on the program and it's no longer what it is from Microsoft. So we want that to be as accurate as possible. And right now it really is about focusing on maximizing the old program. So this is for silver today. Those are the 3 competencies that you should really look out for to make sure that you get this done before October. And then, of course, yes, do watch the webinar that we have for Solutions Partner in September. We're going to be talking about the requirements for the main ones that we feel, our partners are going to want to attain first. I can tell you right away it's going to be, modern work, infrastructure, and probably business applications that we're gonna look into to see what those requirements are. Spoiler alert: it's all about exams. It really is. For all of the consultations that I've been doing with partners, looking at these sections with them, they're getting the points for the new customers. They're getting the points for existing customer growth, and then they have no points in the exam section at all. So it's going to be mainly about that. But otherwise, it really is. This is the most impactful thing that you can do in the next couple of weeks, is to make sure your partner center these three competencies, that you have them in the bag, ready for the changes that are coming, especially when it comes to cloud platform. The competitive edge that you're going to have versus someone that does not have that competency as of October of this year is going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And just touching on the exam portion as well, it is something that we had kicked around internally as to how we can better serve you and how we can bring that kind of enablement motion to help you and your team get certified. So this is in the works. Do reach out to your rep. Do let us know which competencies or which exams would best serve you over the next calendar year and beyond. And we'll do our best to coordinate something to help you achieve these. Going back to the questions here, some of them I'm reading for the first time, so forgive me if I stutter here. But do the purchases have to be made directly from Microsoft, or can they be made through Sherweb? So absolutely through Sherweb. Absolutely, we would strongly suggest and encourage everyone to do so. That being said, technically it is possible to purchase it through Microsoft. However, again, we're here to guide you on beyond just that particular license or just the MCP here. So really, it is a holistic partnership where we're looking to achieve. So again, we'd love to help you out.
And to specify when we're talking about purchasing directly from Microsoft or from Sherweb, or, to say more broadly, like from CSP, so it doesn't have to be specifically from Sherweb, but
Although
the
it should.
CSP channel. It should, yes. Whenever something is purchased from Microsoft directly, since it is commercial web direct and not CSP, the consumption, the type of licensing, the type of usage will count for competencies, but will not count for incentives. So you do have a financial incentive to have them under CSP and not under Microsoft directly, so that you can get that cash back.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for that. When I'm assuming this is going back to the Azure spend, or the 25K and the trailing 12, do they count the cost or retail price?
That's a great question. It's actually the Microsoft billed revenue, so it is very, very far removed from the retail cost. But a good rule of thumb would be whatever the retail cost is, do times 0.8. That's pretty safe to say what Microsoft sees on their side as the actual billed revenue for that customer. So if you have a $100 license, it's going to be $80 Microsoft billed revenue, just to be safe. It's likely going to be a lot higher, because we do give discounts to our partners. But if you wanted to take just the retail cost, not your partner cost, but the retail cost versus the Microsoft billed revenue, it's pretty much 80%.
Awesome. What are the options if renewal is due in October?
It's going to depend on when in October. If you fall into that void between the 1st and 3rd of October, I actually don't know what Microsoft is going to do, because they're saying that the old program ends in September 30th and the other one starts on October 3rd. So I don't know what's going to happen on those 2 days, probably a lunar eclipse or something. But if your renewal is anytime after October 3rd, it is, as I said in one of the examples, your anniversary date is after October 3rd. So you will be allowed to renew under the old benefits for a full year. So you will have until October 2023 to achieve any of the new solutions designations to stay in the program. Otherwise, by October 2023, you will no longer be allowed to renew again. But if it's in October and it's after October 3rd, you will be able to renew just as things are. And if you have some competencies that are showing at risk right now, and there's a little red triangle next to it, if your renewal is after October 3rd, according to Microsoft right now, unfortunately, just verbally, but it was, in an official Microsoft webinar, and they were very confident with their answer. You would still get to keep those benefits. So if you have, say, a renewal date in December, and you have 3 competencies showing that red triangle saying that you must earn certain things to be able to renew, you can disregard that because it's coming after October. You will get to keep all of those benefits as if you had reached the criteria.
Awesome. If I have, so we just kind of touched on that. In regards to the Azure consumption, so if you can't get the Azure consumption option, are there others that would position us for the silver status?
Yes, any of the 4 options for, let me see if I have it on the screen still. Any of the 4 options for cloud platform will count for these benefits programs. It's just that the distributor option is only available to indirect providers. The hosting option is something that I have not seen a lot of partners be able to get because the requirements are, I think, $500,000 a year of consumer revenue. Although I did see one partner a couple of weeks ago have that one, and then the learning option that might be a good alternative. But since it is, not on the CSP side, but more on the Microsoft Learn side, you would have to kind of find out what those requirements are on your own. But it would count. Any of the 4 options would count for that cloud platform competency to get all of those benefits and the cashbacks.
Awesome. I'm trying to pick up the pace a little bit here. We have tons of questions. Thank you all so much. A little disclaimer: we're going to go through as much as we can as soon as I stop talking here, but we will be answering after the fact, so not to worry. All of this will be replied. So we have a friend here who has a U.S. and Canadian, so 2 MPN IDs. Does the 25K annual look at both?
Yes.
Sounds of the border. Yes, it does.
As long as it's one partner center with business locations in Canada and the US, if you haven't merged them yet and they're 2 separate entities, contact your account manager. We'll show you how to get that done.
Awesome. And that's continued silver benefits. So this one we're okay. One of our clients not showing as new customer acquired, but did not have M365 previously. How can we address this? This sounds like a little bit more of a case by case. I believe maybe a
Yeah,
little bit more info.
like my first reflex would be, has this customer been added fairly recently? Because like we mentioned earlier in the webinar, there's a 4 weeks delay before Microsoft recognizes, like it has to go through a full billing cycle before Microsoft recognizes it as a paid customer. And specifically to Sherweb, you have to make sure that the license is assigned to a user, that you haven't just created an organization and bought a license and let it float without being assigned to a user. That will not fulfill the new customer requirements in that case. You have to assign, even if it's just to admin or Wile E. Coyote or Bugs Bunny or whatnot. You have to assign that license, and then 4 weeks later you will get credit for that user. In all cases, you should see that customer show up under that section. Let me go back slowly. You will be able to click on the view details next to your total of new customer acquired, and you should see that customer count as either existing customer retained or net new customer acquired. So if you see it as existing customer retained, is that it's because unfortunately there was some sort of Microsoft spend in the last 12 months. Maybe they didn't know that it was, like, maybe they just bought like an Office apps for business, on that tenant, and then they said, no, we've never gotten email with Microsoft before, and they thought they were new. But that would cover all those. Otherwise, like James is saying, like it would be a case per case, like we would have to troubleshoot to see why not.
And again, similar questions there. If anyone had any more specific cases, so I'm trying to get some of the high level ones here, to address as many folks as we can. But for the more specific ones, again, do reach out to your account manager. So I believe Jacob for the question was just asked. Leah. So definitely do reach out there. The next on the docket here, so the more competencies. Here's a a true or false statement here for you. The more competencies I have, the more incentives I get.
Almost true. It's out of the 9 competencies that you can earn, there will be no difference in the incentives that you get for M365 and Dynamics 365. But there is only one competency, which is the cloud platform competency at the silver level, which will allow you to get incentives on Azure. So if you don't have cloud platform and you get cloud platform, that will be more competencies and that will give you more incentives. But if you already have cloud platform and you get cloud productivity or small mid-market cloud solution, it will not increase your incentives because you are already getting all of the Azure M365 and Dynamics 365 from the old one. So it's kind of like a true-ish, but not exactly statement.
Good. So hopefully that answers Mr. Higgins there. So do reach out again. We can dive through a little bit more detail as required. This one is a little bit longer. So unfortunately, we'll go on to the next one. Is it worth me getting as many competency as possible while I am on silver?
I would recommend yes, especially because of what I know about the new program that's coming out next year. So even if you say, okay, the MS 100, I don't really need that extra 25 license. I mean, it could happen that, within the next 6 months, 8 months, I may have a need for a couple of those licenses, but it's really not on my radar right now. Well, taking the MS 100 this summer while things are relatively calm and getting those extra 25 licenses, out of it will not be for naught because next year, when you want to earn a partner solutions designation, you'll find out that, hey, I already have the MS 100. So now I only need to take the MS 101 and then I'll get the full 15 points for the advanced certifications. So it's not a bad idea as long as you're not compromising yourself for it. It's the opportunity cost, right? Like if you're going to be studying for this exam, it shouldn't be at a cost of deals that you could be getting this summer if there's no need for the extra licenses. But if all else being equal and you have the time to take the MS 100, it will be not only good for the extra licenses you get right now, it's going to be work already done for next year.
So staying ahead, right? And that's again like the timing of what we're doing here today and our previous version and even the upcoming ones is all 1 year out. So it's just to really give you that step, like Alex was saying earlier, for those partners not in the know. It might be a little bit of a shock next March. And they're like, oh my goodness, I have 6 months. How the heck am I going to fit all this in on time? So again, just stay tuned. We're going to try and keep you guys informed. We offer, or Alex more so, I offer Alex to give one-on-one consultations as well for any of
I
again these
volunteer
the more
you.
fringe. Yeah, that's exactly. So again, so we'll look at it more granularly as required. Um, there are two MPN IDs, a global ID and a location ID. Do both of these IDs funnel information into these competencies?
Yes and no. Ideally, if you are using a global MPN ID, it's because at some point in the past you were a direct CSP and Microsoft still accepts your global MPN ID for CSP transactions. This is something that will eventually end. And for a lot of partners have already ended, and then they all of a sudden one day are not able to provision, and then Microsoft says your MPN ID is wrong, and then you have to drill down into it. You have to sometimes solicit our help, and then when you get to that section of the partner center, the identifier section, you'll see that you have first up top the MPN section, which your global MPN and your location or locations MPN ID, because a lot of partners have multiple business locations. None of those are technically the MPN ID that we need to use for CSP transactions. Right below the MPN section, there should be a CSP section with your associated MPN ID, and it's going to be the one location that you have deemed to be enrolled into CSP indirect reseller. And that associated MPN ID is the one which tends to be the same one as one of your locations, but it really has to be under the CSP section for it to be valid. You want to put that in our Cumulus portal so that all of the sales volume, Azure consumption revenue, the type of licenses, the add-ons that you may want to add, all of that will be synchronized with your partner center, and you'll be recognized for all of it from Microsoft. The synchronization with the global MPN ID of partners that it still works for, seems to be working, but sometimes there's some gaps. There's some of the information is not passed through. So if you had been using your global MPN ID without getting any errors, do consider to kind of future-proof your partner center by switching it to the associated MPN ID, which is found under the CSP section in the same place that you look at all your MPN IDs. So it's not a different place. It's just that section slightly lower.
Wild, all the stuff you know, my man. I am always so impressed. I do see several questions from one of our guests here. So I will perhaps flag it to marketing. Do reach out to your account manager, especially if you have 3 or 4 questions and some of them do seem to be compounded. So do reach out. This is the perfect case for a one-on-one. Again, not to get too deep into the weeds here, as some of these may be a little bit more specific to your business. So I do apologize. I won't go through them all, but without saying the name here, do rest assured if you asked more than 4 questions, let's say, we'll definitely look to connect with you a little bit more in depth. And maybe we still have 4 minutes, 4 whole minutes. Maybe Amand, if you want to give me an okay if we run over, if I keep going for every question, or if we're going to wrap up promptly in about 4 minutes here. Go ahead.
Sorry, guys. I was going to say, yeah, it's okay for me if it's okay for you.
Okay.
Yeah, just lunchtime, Alex. We'll make it. If I attain a competency 1 month before September 30th, 2022, I would be able to keep the benefits until the next anniversary date.
If it's in September that you reach that competency, the benefits that you earn from that competency would be grandfathered in for 1 whole year after your renewal that comes after October. The only nuance I want to give to that is if it's your first competency that you earn, you would be prompted to purchase a silver membership, and that would become your anniversary. So your September 2022 would ride, all the way until September 2023. And then September 2023 would be your first renewal after October 2022. So you would get to keep those benefits as well. So technically, if it's the first time you earn a competency in September of 2022, you'll actually have 2 full years of benefits and not just the one.
Awesome. Very good. And again, this is for a gentleman that I did suggest a more particular consult with. So do reach out. And again, we'll most likely reach out in the meantime here. When we're looking at the certifications, so we had mentioned the MS 100. We have one partner. He was recently told to take the MS 900. Do I also have to take the MS 100 as well?
Well, the MS 900, the reason it was probably told, and it might have even been by me, to take the MS 900 is that in the new program coming up next year, under the intermediate certifications, it is one of the exams that's available. So it is, the easiest exam for Microsoft, MS 900. You have one person take that exam, you get 5 points. It'll fulfill that requirement for that metric. So it's definitely going to be something that you'll want to take the MS 900 at some point before October 2023. So again, a year and a half from now that you have as time to take the MS 900. But the MS 100, if you take it this summer, you would potentially be able to get the extra licenses from the cloud productivity competency. And this exam for next year for the new program, it is a part of the requirements to become a Microsoft 365 certified administration expert. It even says it on the link here. I don't know if you guys can see it, that it's part of the requirements for this is the MS 100. The other part is the MS 101. So if you have someone take the MS 100 this year, next year, that same person will only have to take the MS 101 to fulfill the advanced certification metric of the modern work solutions designation. You'll still want to have someone, maybe probably somebody else, take the MS 900 as well, because it will be part of those requirements. But it's not one or the other. It's not MS 100 or MS 900 and you're set. It's MS 100, more licenses, works for advanced certifications next year. MS 900 for intermediate certifications next year. Hopefully that makes sense. Makes sense to me.
And again, yeah, well, yeah, there's not much that doesn't. But yeah, again, so we can dive into the specifics and the ins and outs for your particular situation there as needed. Maybe one or two more. Actually, you are flying through these questions, sir. Always impressed. Let's go over here. Legacy incentives. So we covered that throughout. What do we need to? But do we need multiple competencies to qualify for silver?
No, any of the 20 competencies and the 3 to 4 different options would get you to be invited to purchase the silver membership and get the core sets of benefits. It's just that for the incentives programs, the cashbacks that you would get, only certain competencies qualify. In our case, because we are MSPs, we are VARs, we're reselling M365 licenses, all of the competencies we can obtain through those transactions qualify for the cashback programs. And this session was on the 3 main competencies that most of our partners that obtain the silver level are able to reach. So I mean, there are you could get a data center competency, you could get an ERP competency right now, and those would still work. It's just that they tend to be for things that are on-prem or not in the cloud and things like that.
Awesome. Yeah, we're a touch over. We can go for one more. So again, if we're looking at what the competencies were, again, the deck will be shared and the recording will be available as well. Also, do feel free to explore your own partner center as well. You'll be able to find exactly what's required, what's included through the partner guide. So again, do spend some time in there. And again, so we will reach out for a more in-depth consultation or overview of what you're up against. And again, Alex, and I'd like to say myself, but let's be honest here, Alex will help you through that greatly, as will our account rep team.
Yeah, they're getting pretty good at fielding, these concepts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have an amazing team. Again, for anyone who's not a partner, do reach out. You'll see why Alex and myself are so proud to be part of this. Amazing colleagues is really half the battle here. And one more for good measure, Alex, and we'll let you go get some lunch. Let's just find one that will speak to more people here. Oh, this is a little bit of a read here. Okay. If you are a silver partner and you hit the 3 competencies under the existing program by October 2022, does that mean you have until October 2023 to obtain CERT competencies for the new program?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, your specific timeline is going to vary depending on your anniversary date as far as your benefits are concerned. But earning a partner solutions designation by October 2023 will ensure that you get to keep all of the cashback incentives, from Microsoft, even as you get to enjoy the legacy benefits that you've locked in by earning those 3 competencies this year.
Awesome. This guy is so good. All right. So I think that is it for the questions, at least for what we'll read out loud. Again, for some of you who did have multiple, do expect a quick touch point from your account rep. If you don't have one, congratulations. You just got yourself one. So we will reach out and just coordinate a quick overview. For today, unless Alex has anything else to say, you were great again, man, buddy. I'm just so impressed every time. Thank you all so much for taking the time, for having joined us today. We really hope this was as fruitful as what we had in mind. Do refer back to the Knowledge Network for our previous video, as well as this one that'll be up normally in the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to your account reps in the meantime, and that's really all I got to say.
I don't want to add anything else. Just thank you everyone for showing up and bearing through this. We know it's a lot of work, it's a lot of information, but we're right there to help you.
Absolutely. So on that note, on behalf of the entire Sherweb team, wishing you all a great day.
Cheers.